Okay, now let's talk about solving right triangles. So the way we can do this is using this kind of mnemonic where it's SOHCAHTOA mnemonic. So basically it's using sine theta is equal to opposite over the hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over the hypotenuse, and TOA is tangent is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. And then basically the way this works is if we have a right triangle, so one 90-degree angle, the biggest side is the hypotenuse, and then if, like, let's say that was the angle we're working with, the neighboring side is the adjacent, the opposite is the side on the other side. We can also use a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared as well. So let's try that. So let's solve this triangle here. So to figure out the missing side, we know hypotenuse is 10, so it's going to be 10 squared is equal to 8 squared plus the missing side squared. So that's going to be 64 plus 8 squared is equal to 100. So the missing side, the missing side would be equal to 36 squared. So then if you square root it, you'll get b is equal to 6. And then to find the angle, we can just use some trig. So we use sine theta. So whenever you're finding an angle, use the inverse is equal to the opposite. So 6 over the hypotenuse. So 10. And then just punch that into your calculator. Make sure you're in degree mode. And you'll get 37 degrees roughly. And then therefore the other side, we can just subtract, like 180 minus 90 minus the angle we found. And we'll get 53 degrees. So this one is 53. Okay, let's try this one. So you can always use a squared plus b squared is c squared to figure out if the triangle is possible or not, and if it's, like if it can exist. So let's test this one. So in this one we have 4 squared is equal to 2 root 6 squared, and then the missing side. So let's just say b squared. So it's going to be 16, and then 2 root 6 times 2 root 6 would be 4 root 36, which is 4 times 6, which is equal to 24. So therefore, this would be 24 plus b squared. And then if you subtract the 24, you would have minus 8 is equal to b squared. And then if you try square rooting a negative number, that's like not possible. So therefore this triangle would actually like not exist. Okay, let's try this one. So let's use trig and SOHCAHTOA to solve this triangle. So what I'm going to do is, let's start with this angle. If we have the adjacent side and the opposite side, we can use tangent. So if we go inverse tangent, we can do the opposite, which is 5 over 12, which would be 23 degrees. And then we know that they add up to 180. So we can kind of write an equation like that. And we'll see that the missing side is equal to 67 degrees. And then we can just use a squared plus b squared is equal to the hypotenuse squared. And hypotenuse is the biggest side, so that's this one. And we'll get 12 squared plus 5 squared is equal to 169. So then if you square root that, you will get 13. Okay, let's try this one. And this one, very similar. Let's try using, so let's use a squared, b squared, get the hypotenuse again. So 15 squared plus 24 squared is equal to h squared. And then square root it, and we'll get h is equal to 28.3. And then to solve for the angles, let's use tangent. And then 15 over 24. And we'll get 32 degrees. And then therefore the missing one, 90 degrees plus x is equal to 180. And then solve for that. We'll get 58 degrees.